Hi, hello, namaskara. I'm your biology teacher Karthik. Children, today we are going to discuss about the chapter life process. So in this chapter, we are going to discuss majorly about some of the very important MCQ questions. We are going to discuss about some descriptive questions which are having the weightage of 1 mark, 3 marks, 5 marks, which may appear in your final board examination. Right, you are all preparing for the board examination, right? So I thought it is important to discuss this chapter with you all. Now let us have idea what we are supposed to study in this chapter. So that is very, very important, right? So in the life process, it's a big chapter. It is not a very small chapter. It is a big chapter, right? So in this, we are studying various type of concepts. So starting from like photosynthesis, some aspects of the photosynthesis, exchange of the gases in the plants, right? And we are studying about respiration, we are studying about circulation, we are studying about digestion, we are studying about excretion, right? There are a hell lot of topics are there, and all these topics are important for your examination. But I'll be concentrating in today's lecture, so more into important questions. This is a part 1, children. So in the part 1, we are discussing some of the questions. Okay, nothing to worry. There are a few more questions I'll be taking in the next part as well. So today we'll study some of the questions and we'll make sure that whatever the question we are studying today, we have to understand that, and if that question comes in the examination, happily we have to write and we have to get the marks. Right? I hope, children, you are all with me. I hope you are all listening to my lecture. So please be till the end. So very important questions we are going to discuss. So let us start with questions. Let us solve, right? So first question comes on your way now. What is the first question comes here? The first question, children, if you see here, that's bile is secreted by. This is the question. What are the 4 options they have given? So bile is secreted by the pancreas, bile is secreted by the duodenum, bile is secreted by the liver, bile is secreted by the gallbladder. 4 options are given, right? I expect now you have to give the answer for this, and after that let me say what is the right answer and let me explain about this, right, children? So be very quick, right? So you can start answering. Wow, I can see many started answering. Very good. The liver, they said. Some are giving the option as a C. Excellent, excellent. So you can write. So let me start with discussion for this question. So bile is secreted by. What is the right answer? Many of you given. I wanted to congratulate you all, children, for giving the right answer here. So that is liver, right? So what is the right answer here? That is liver, right? What are the points we are supposed to remember? Okay, so directly we can understand that bile is secreted by the liver. That is fine. That is a correct answer for this question. What else we are supposed to know about it? See, children, this bile is there, right? This is sometimes it is a greenish, or sometimes it is yellowish or dark yellow or brownish color liquid secreted by the liver. Okay, what is the purpose of secretion? The purpose of the secretion of the bile to digest lipids in the small intestine. Why it is important? Digest lipids in small intestine. Okay, so this you are supposed to remember about. So when it comes to the human beings, so like generally it is seen with the vertebrates, especially when we speak about the human beings. In the human beings, okay, so liver produces the bile, so yellowish liquid. Later that will be stored in the gallbladder. So that also you are supposed to remember. So who knows, tomorrow we may get the question. So this bile is stored where? In the human being. So then what will become the answer there? In the gallbladder. So what are the points you are supposed to remember? Bile is secreted by the liver, right? So this you can remember about. Bile is secreted by the liver and it is required for the digestion of the fats in the small intestine, right? So that point you can remember about, children. And after that, you are supposed to remember in human beings, it will be stored in the gallbladder. I hope this is clear to you all. If yes, if you have understood, you can message me in the chat box so that I can take up the next question. Hurry up, children. If you have any confusion, any doubts also, you can ask with me here, right? I hope you're all understanding. Very good, very good, very good. I can getting the response from your side that yes, sir, we have understood. So let me move to the next question here, children. So what is the next question here? So let me show the one more question here. Right? This question says covering with black paper strips should be tested for presence of. There's a question here. What are the options they have given? O2 in the leaf, oxygen in leaf, starch in the leaf, water in a leaf, carbon dioxide in leaf. Children, you can hurry up now. You can start giving the answer to me. Right? I can see many are giving the right answer here. So Litin, Harsha, then Vishwashri, Netra, right? Harshavardhan, very good, very good. I can see, you are all giving the right answer once again. Excellent, excellent. So, right. So, I can see many of you are giving the right answer here. Children, let me say what is the correct answer here. What is the correct answer here? That is nothing but the starch in a leaf, right? So, you all know about the concept of photosynthesis, right? So, generally when we speak about the photosynthesis, what we say? So, generally when we speak about the photosynthesis, there will be a carbon dioxide. So, water molecule, right? In the presence of the light, so light is required, and in the chlorophyll, right? In the chlorophyll molecule, children, if you see, what we are going to get from it? We are going to get glucose, right? We are going to get glucose plus oxygen as the byproduct and water. So I have not balanced the equation, that you can balance it later, but for your understanding, I have written. So when we speak about the photosynthesis, we are saying the formation of the glucose here, right? So now, how it will be considered the starch? Children, you are supposed to remember this. So this is glucose will be stored in the plants in the form of the starch. Okay. Now, you are very clear that this starch in the leaf is a product of photosynthesis. It's a product of photosynthesis. Now, covering with the black paper strips should be tested for the presence of, right? For what? Starch in the leaf. Because for the photosynthesis, for the production of the starch, what is required? Light is required. What is required? Light is required. Hope you are understanding this. For the production of the starch, what is required? Light is required, because starch is a product of photosynthesis. Now, what happens if you take a leaf here? If you take a leaf, okay, right? Fine. Hope you're understanding this. So, if you take a leaf and if you cover that with dark strips, okay, what will happen, children? So, wherever you have applied the dark strips, there light cannot penetrate. Light will not fall on the chlorophyll pigments. Obviously, what will happen? There is no formation of the glucose, or there will not be a photosynthesis in this area where it is covered with the black paper strips. Hope you are understanding this. Now, what we are doing here? So, after this, okay, we generally take this leaf, we boil this in the alcohol, okay. By using the alcohol, what we do, children? We boil this leaf, and after that we add, okay, boil by using alcohol, and after that add which one? Iodine. What we are supposed to add here? Iodine, right? So when you add the iodine, what happens? Wherever the starch is produced, that will give the blue color. Where the starch is not produced, it won't give the blue color. So now if you see, wherever you have covered with the black paper, children, so there you won't see the color change. So that is very clear that, so covering with the black paper strips should be tested for the presence of starch leaf. I hope you can understand the concept now. I have said the answer. At the same time, I have covered entire concept related to this. Children, if you have understood, you can send me a message saying that, sir, we are understanding, so that I can move to the next topic, right? I'm expecting your answers as well as your response, saying that whether you are understanding or not. Okay, children, hurry up. If you have understood, right, you can start sending me the messages, right? Let me move to the next question. Okay, right. Thank you so much for your response. Let me move to the one more question here. What is the one more question says here? Right? Okay, Netra said, I have understood. Yes, sir. Very good. So now let me come to the one more question here. What is one more question says? 20 dry resins were soaked in 50 ml of water, okay, and kept for 1 hour at 50 degrees Celsius. Right? Which out of the following was the correct observation? So this is the question here. This is the question here. Very good. Harshavardhan sent message saying that understood, sir. Very good. So children, hope you have read the question now. Now let us see what are the options they have given. There are 4 options, right? The first option says 10 resins absorbed water, 10 did not. Because we said that 20 resins we have soaked in a water, amount of the water, 50 ml and 50 degrees Celsius. That is a condition they have given. So now first they says 10 resins absorbed water, 10 did not. Second option says 15 resins absorbed water, 5 did not. 8 resins absorbed water, 12 did not. All the 20 resins absorbed water. Children, hurry up, start giving the answer for this question. Right? I can see, already Lithin has given the answer. Children, what about others? Right? You can also start giving the answer for me. Very good. Ranjana has given the answer D. Excellent. So, what about others? Those who are there, you can start giving the answer. I'm waiting for your answer, children. You can start giving. Very good. Very good. Very good. So, fine. Let us move to the answer section and let us check what is the correct answer. And at the same time, we need to understand why that is the correct answer, right? So, let us see that. So, what is the correct option here? So, here the correct option is D. All the 20 resins absorbed water. So, now what is the principle behind that, or why this is the correct option? Let us see. Children, when you add dry resins, if you soak in the water, if you soak in the water, so they are saying that 20 dry resins all were soaked in the water. It is not like they have not said that out of 20, 10 has soaked or 15 has soaked or 5 has soaked or 8 has soaked. No, they are saying here in this question, all the 20 resins are soaked in water. Forget about the ml, but everybody soaked. That means every resins are immersed in the water. That you can imagine, right? And they are saying 50 degrees Celsius. So temperature also there. Compared to the room temperature, the temperature is high. Now generally what happens, children, in this case, so resins are initially dry, water content is low, right? So inside the resins, water concentration is low. When you have immersed inside the water, generally what happens here? End osmosis. So now the resin, what happens? This resin is dry now, right? From the outside, water will start entering inside. So all the 20 resins absorb water. All the 20, right? I hope. Yes. Netra said D, question mark. Yes. So correct answer is D. Right, children? Hope you're all following, the explanation. Hope you're understanding, right? Keep sending message in between so that I'll be understanding whether you're understanding or not. Okay? That's very, very important. Very good. So many have given the right answer. Those who have not given the answer, I hope you got the answer now. Hope you got the concept behind this. Right? So let me move to the one more question here. So what is the one more question here? The one more question comes here, children. Which gland in the human body which secretes digestive enzymes as well as hormones? Right? So there's a question here. So what are the options they have given? Okay, what are the options they have given? Ovary, pancreas, thyroid and testis. Right? There's a question here. This is already asked question. So you can start giving the answer here. Right? So let me see how many of you are going to give the right answer here. Okay, already started giving the answer B. Very good, very good, very good. Many started giving the right answer here. Excellent, excellent. So let me say what is the correct option here. Right. So which gland in the human body? So this one question, so generally asked question. So that is the reason I thought I need to include here. Right. So it's not directly, we are not generally, we are not asking, this question even can be asked in the chapter chemical control and coordination. But in this chapter also we can ask this question. The reason is very simple, children, because here we are studying about the digestion, nutrition, right? So there the enzymes which are produced by the pancreas is very important. Pancreas produces the enzyme which can digest lipids, digest carbohydrate, digest protein. So that is the reason here in this chapter also we can ask the question which is related to the pancreas gland. So but now we have combined, make it little complicated. We have combined two concepts and we have asked the question here. I hope you are understanding this. Now when it comes to the pancreas, it is known as both exocrine as well as endocrine gland, right? You might have heard about this exocrine. It acts as both exocrine as well as endocrine, right? What is the meaning of the exocrine and endocrine? Let us just quickly have the idea for that. So when we speak about the exocrine, okay, when we say about the exocrine gland, so exocrine glands are duct, they are having the ducts, like tube like structures they are having. So whatever the chemicals they produce, so for example they produce the enzymes, digestive enzymes, that will move through this duct like structures through the small intestine. So we call it as the exocrine gland because it produces the digestive enzymes. Along with that, children, if you see, they produces some of the hormones. Okay, hope you can understand this, hormones. And those hormones are directly released to the bloodstream. They are not passing through any tube-like structure, ducts. So when they don't have the ductless character, like, so whenever they produce a certain chemical substances, those chemical substances are directly released to the bloodstream, right? So then we consider them as the endocrine, like insulin. It's a hormone which is produced by the pancreas again, right? And that will be directly released to the blood. So it has got the dual nature of both exocrine and endocrine, right? So now which gland in the human body secretes the digestive enzyme? Generally we can consider the pancreas and well as hormone. Which one has got the both exocrine as well as endocrine? So this one. I hope you can remember this, right? Okay, I think now Vaishnavi has joined saying good evening. Good evening, Vaishnavi. Right, let us move to the one more question here. Children, I hope you understood why this question asked in this chapter, and I hope you understood what is the answer and why this is the answer, right? So let us move to the one more question here. So in the MCQs, it's almost last question we are discussing here. After that we are going to the descriptive answers, questions and descriptive answers. So now here 4 students A, B, C and D make the records given below for the parts marked X and Y in this diagram, right? So now you have to say, children, student A says X is stoma, Y is guard cell. Student B says X is guard cell, Y is stoma. C says epidermal and stoma. D says X is stoma and Y is epidermal cell. Now you have to say which student said right. Correct, children? Right? Okay. So you can answer here, right? If you have not understood, once again I am explaining this question, just listen to me. 4 students are there. Who are those? Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C and Mr. D. 4 students are there. Right. So their teacher asked them to draw a diagram for the record. They have to fill the, they have to draw the diagram as a part of completion of their record work. Now in that they are supposed to mark what is this Y and what is this X, right? Student A says X is stoma, Y is guard cell. Student B says X is guard cell, Y is stoma. Student C says X is epidermal cell, Y is stoma. Student D says X is stoma, Y is epidermal cell. Now you have to answer me which student is right here. You have to answer me which answer is right here. Okay, right, children? So you can see my diagram. Yes, I can see. Okay, Infinite has started giving the answer here. Right. Okay, what about other children? You can also start giving the answer. Very good. So I have got the answer from your side. Many are giving the answer, that to right answer. Excellent. So children, let me say the answer for those who don't know about this, right? So now what is the correct option here? The correct option is A. Right? Now if you see this, diagram, this is a diagram of what? It is a diagram of the stomata. This is a diagram of what, children? This is a diagram of stomata. Right? Where this is present? This is present on the leaf. Right? So now you need to know about the structure of the stomata. What are you supposed to know about? The structure of the stomata. So now what is the structure of the stomata? There are two important points you are supposed to remember. So one is the stoma, okay? Another one is the guard cell. Stomatal pore we say, this is stoma is known as stomatal pore, X. Okay, and apart from that bean-shaped two cells you can see here, right? So that we call it as guard cell. And for your information, children, these guard cells are surrounded by the subsidiary cells we say. What is the importance of this? Stomata helps in the exchange of the gases. Helps in the exchange of the gases. I hope you can remember this. I hope this type of question comes easily, you will answer this. Right? I think this is clear to you all. Children, let us move to the one more question here. Right? Okay. Now, one more question comes on your way. So let me read out the question and let me explain this. While explaining, if you got any doubts, you can put it in the chat box. And after the completion of the answer, children, so if you have understood the answer, you can send me a message saying that, yes, sir, I understood. Okay, so that I can move to the next question. So now, while coming to this, name the system responsible for transportation of materials in human body. This question can be asked for 1 mark or it can also be asked for 2 marks. Okay, so now this is the question here, right? What they are saying, name the system responsible for the transport of materials in the human body, right? I got one right answer here in the chat box, circulatory and lymph, right? So what you are supposed to remember, children? So there are two pathways, two ways there will be a movement of the components which are present in our body, that is blood vascular system, right? Another one, lymphatic system. Right? You might have studied about this. In our body there are two types of liquid substances are there. One is the blood, another one is the lymph. Okay, so now blood vascular system, the moment when I say, you can understand, right? In our body, if at all, for example, tissues require oxygen, which one helps in the, taking that into the different parts? Blood, right? And one more, you are supposed to remember about, right? So for example, oxygen, and during the time of metabolic activity in our cells, that produces a lot of nitrogenous waste. And that nitrogenous waste need to be thrown out from our body. So that has to reach to the kidney. Who will do that work? That work also done by the blood, right? So any component need to be transported to the different parts of our body. That will be carried out by the blood vascular system. Is that clear? Someone has given the answer as heart. Heart is like pumping the blood, it helps. Okay, to pump the blood it helps. But the movement of those substances, either it may be gaseous molecules or it may be hormones or any other chemical substances or it may be glucose. So all this takes place through the blood vascular system. Now apart from that, we have got one more system, that is a lymphatic system. So what do you mean by lymphatic system? So if at all extracellular fluid is there, right? So that will be present in between the two cells. So that we call it as the lymphatic fluid. So for the movement of that also we have got the system that we call it as lymphatic system. Hope you can remember answer for this question, right? If anybody asks, name the system responsible for transportation of the materials in the human body, children, you are clearly supposed to write blood vascular system and lymphatic system. Please don't write just blood. Please don't write heart. Please don't write any half answer, because already this question is asked for 1 mark, right? If you write the half, answers, there may be a chances of losing the marks. So you should be very clear that clearly you have to mention these 2 points. It can also be asked for 2 marks because 2 points are there, right? If at all it is asked for 1 mark, half will be given for this, half will be for this. If at all it is asked for 2 marks, each options will be getting 1 mark each. So this you can remember about. Children, I think you have understood the answer for this, right? So shall I move to the next question? Are you all ready to answer for know the answer for the next question? Very good, very good. Let me move to the one more question here. Name the thin-walled air sacs of the lungs. There is one more question, right? Name the thin-walled air sacs of the lungs. So this is the question we are supposed to address here. So let us see what is the answer here. So name the thin-walled air sacs in the lungs. That is nothing but alveoli. If they have asked for 1 mark, children, easily we can say that is nothing but the alveoli. If they have asked for 1 mark, easily we can say that is nothing but alveoli. Easily we can answer this. Okay, in case if they have asked for 2 marks or 3 marks, then what we are supposed to say? Each small tube ends in the cluster of thin-walled air sacs called alveoli. It is the alveoli that receives the oxygen and passes it to the blood. Children, just let me explain this now. Okay, so now this is nothing but your lungs. Okay, this is nothing but your lungs. You hope you know about the structure of the lungs. Right, it has got the larynx, it has got the trachea, it has got the bronchi, it has got the bronchioles, right? So at the end of this, all the division, children, it has got one irregular shaped sac-like structure. So if you want to remember how you can remember, small balloons you can remember, right? So it will be having some space inside. So now during the time of respiration, whatever the air comes, okay, let me write oxygen or what normally air. So that will finally reach to where? This sac-like structure known as which one? Alveoli, known as alveoli. So this is the site, children, where exchange of the gases takes place. So now, say for example, here let me draw one more diagram. Let me kind of club some more topics here. So now here we have got the blood vessels. Consider this. Okay, I have got the blood vessel here, right? And at the same time, children, we have got the tissue here, right? Tissue here. So you can consider it as the tissue, right? So this is the blood. Okay, this is the alveoli, right? This is the alveoli, right? So I am explaining, all the concepts also here. So now if you see here, whenever the air comes to the sac-like structure, that is nothing but the alveoli. So here, for example, oxygen is there. Okay, that oxygen will be released to the blood. So that oxygen will be carried, circulated by the blood, and it will come to where? It will come to the tissue. And inside the tissue, what happens, children? Here respiration takes place. We call it as cellular respiration. So during the time of respiration, there will be a release of carbon dioxide. You all know about it. And that carbon dioxide will be released back to the blood. Blood will pass it to where? It will pass it to the alveoli. And that carbon dioxide will go outside. So this is a brief idea about it. Now, what you are supposed to remember, I explained what is the function of the alveoli as well. So please remember, name the thin-walled air sacs of the lungs. That is nothing but the alveoli. In case, children, if they have asked what is the function of the alveoli, one more question comes, right? What is the function of the alveoli? Then what you are supposed to answer? You are supposed to answer that function of the alveoli, exchange of the gas between the lungs and blood. Can you remember this? Right? So this is one more point you are supposed to remember about. If you have understood whatever I have explained, you can send me the message. You can send me a message, so that I can understand whether you have understood or not, and I can move to the next question here. Right? Right. Okay, Lithin, then Rideep, then Infinite, Vaishnavi. Right? Many have given the right answer here. Very good, children. I appreciate you all, and I'm very happy that you are all listening the all the concepts very clearly, and you are responding very well. Thank you so much. I hope you have understood this. So let me move to the next question. What is the next question comes here? Netra said we have understood. Very good. Thank you. So now, what is the mode of nutrition in fungi? Right? So this is also one more important aspects of the life process, right? What is the, which one? Nutrition in fungi. For every living organism, children, to get the energy, there should be a nutrition, right? They have to eat something, right? So for for us, it will be like we are eating through our mouth. But when it comes to the lower organism, they will be having their own mechanism. Now let us see what is the mode of nutrition in the fungi. So what is the answer here? So when it comes to the fungi, there is a saprotropic mode of nutrition. What we are supposed to remember here? Saprotropic mode of nutrition. So this you are supposed to remember. It comes under what? It comes under the heterotrophic only. You know about there is a autotrophic, there is a heterotrophic. Under the heterotrophic, we say one more saprotrophic mode of nutrition. So now, what happens here? Okay, Netra has given the answer. Okay, there are a few have given the answer here. Very good, very good. So now if you say, so answer you got it. What is the mode of nutrition in fungi? Everybody can easily understand that is a saprotrophic mode of nutrition. That is a correct answer. Very good. What happens here, children? Let us try to understand that. So if I explain this, I hope you will remember for the long duration, right? So let me say, there are some dead organisms are there. So for example, something as dead or something as rotten. Okay. So here some dead organisms are there. Dead material is there, right? Dead material is there. So consider this the dead material now. Now what happens here? Wherever if at all any dead materials are present, children, on that dead materials there will be a colonization of fungi. This fungus will come and colonize on that. Fungus will come and colonize on that. The moment when it comes and colonizes, in the saprophytic mode of nutrition, they release certain enzymes here. What they do here? They release certain enzymes here. Okay? So they release what? Certain enzymes here. Some enzymes will be released. So these enzymes are generally degrades this. Okay? So if at all it's a very large organic substances, that will be degraded into very small fragments or into very simple components. So the moment when it is broken into the very small components, so now what will be done? So these enzymes are doing that will be broken down into smaller substances. Then those energy whatever released, right, during time whatever the energy is released, that will be absorbed by this fungus. Absorbed by what? This fungus. So this we call it as saprophytic mode of nutrition. This we call it as what, children? Saprophytic mode of nutrition. I hope you can understand. So I repeat once again, please remember. So what is the mode of nutrition in the fungi? So this easily you can answer. This is a 1 mark question again, right? So that is a saprophytic mode of nutrition. But I just wanted to explain you further so that any other question comes related to this topic, you should be able to answer that, right? Okay. Right. So now what we are supposed to remember, I already said, what is the meaning of the saprophytic mode of nutrition? That is, organisms obtain food from dead and decaying organic matter. How? By releasing their enzymes on the dead and decaying matters. So degradation takes place. During that time, whatever the energy is released, that will be absorbed by the fungus for its energy purpose. I hope this is clear to you all, children. So let me move to the one more question here. So let me see what is the one more question comes here. Mention any 3 methods adopted by plants to minimize the transpiration rate. Right? So I repeat the question. Mention any 3 methods adopted by plants to minimize the transpiration rate. Okay, what is the meaning of the transpiration? There will be a loss of water in the form of vapors through the stomata. That we call it as a transpiration. Hope you all know about it. Even we call it as the unavoidable evil. You might have heard about that. Right? So when it comes to the transpiration, generally we say they are the unavoidable evil. So let us see what is the answer here. So they are asking here, mention any 3 methods adopted by the plants, okay, to minimize the transpiration rate. Children, now one basic question here. Why they have to show the adaptation to minimize the transpiration rate? Quickly answer. Put it in the chat box. After that, let me explain this. Fast, you are supposed to answer for this. Why they have to adapt, okay, to minimize the transpiration rate? The transpiration already explained. What is the meaning of the transpiration? So now I want answer from your side. Why they have to undergo, why they have to minimize the transpiration, or which type of plants has to minimize the transpiration rate, right? This is a question for you all now. So I hope you can answer this through the chat box, right? I hope you will all answer now, right? So now what is the correct option here? Why transpiration is done? So let me explain that, and after that let me come to the answer, direct answer, okay? So generally transpiration rate will be decreased by the plants whenever there's a scarcity for the water, children. If at all abundant water is there, if at all Okay, to save the water from the future, usage. Netra has given the answer. Very good, Netra. Your explanation is correct, right? So what we are supposed to remember, generally, they are undergoing adaptation to minimize the transpiration rate. Okay, so why? To reduce the usage of the water. Whenever they have the scarcity for the water, so they have to restrict the loss of water, right? So that is the reason they will make some adaptation. What are those adaptations? Very simple, children, you will remember for sure. The three methods adapted by the plants to minimize the rate of transpiration are, in some cases, leaves are rolled to cover the stomata. So for example, children, now if you see, so this is the leaf. Okay, now if you see, this is the leaf here. Okay, on the surface, if you say here stomata is present, on the surface, if you say there is a presence of the stomata, on the surface, if you say there will be a presence of the stomata, right? Through this transpiration takes place. Now, when the rolling of this leaf takes place, what will happen? First one, it will be covering the stomata, point number one. At the same time, children, it will be reducing the surface area. At the same time, it will be reducing the surface area. The moment when it reduces the surface area, right, exposure will be less, right? So it will minimize the transpiration. So that is the first point you are supposed to remember. Second one, the stomata may be sunken. So what is the meaning of the sunken stomata? Let me explain that. See, if if we go with the anatomy of the leaf, children, if we go with the anatomy of the leaf, okay, external layer we call it as epidermis. This we call it as epidermis. External layer we call it as epidermis. Generally, in between the epidermal layer, we can see the presence of the stomata. So this is nothing but the stomata. Okay, this is nothing but the stomata, and this is the epidermal tissue. Epidermal layer. Okay, so these are all parenchyma cells, compactly arranged parenchyma cells, nothing else. So now, so generally transpiration takes place like this. Now what happens? Sunken stomata. Sunken stomata means what? The stomata is not exposed like this. It will be present inside. Say for example, I'll continue here. So if you consider this the epidermal tissue, children, stomata will be present here. So now it will be covered, right? So sunken, it will be inside, so that there will not be a transpiration. Okay, so that is the one more method by the help of the sunken stomata. You can say in the nerium. Okay, right? That's a plant name you can remember about. And in some cases, leaves may be dropped or absent in the most of the cacti. In some of the plants, what they do, they will shed off the leaves. Leaves will be dropped. Okay, so when the leaves are not there, when the number of leaves reduces, obviously stomata will be reduced, right? So where is the transpiration? Correct? And where we can see this, mostly we can see with the cacti. Cactus, if you see, children, cactus, there will be a modification of the stem. There will be a modification of the stem into green flattened structure, and there will be leaves will be converted into spine-like structure. Okay, so there is no presence of the stomata there, so transpiration won't take place. So generally, these type of adaptations we can see with the xerophytic plants. Okay, because xerophyte means what? Which will be growing in the desert condition, right? Or minimum amount of water is available. In such area, whichever the plants are growing, we call them as the xerophytic plants. So such plants to survive, because already there will be a less availability of the water, they have to survive, right? For the survival, so they will show this type of adaptation. I hope you have understood the concept fully, right? If yes, send me a message again. Okay, right. So now I think this is clear to you all. Let us move to the one more question here. Mention the role of pancreatic enzyme, right? What is the use of the pancreatic enzyme? So this also can be asked in the examination, children. So let us see what is the role of pancreatic enzyme. So now this is again important question. You are supposed to remember about this. Okay, already I said pancreatic, why it is known as pancreas is known as both endocrine as well as exocrine gland. So now here they have directly asked, mention the role of the pancreatic enzyme. So when it comes to the pancreatic enzyme, it helps in breakdown of fats, proteins and carbohydrates, right? So why it is required, children? It is required for breakdown of the fats, proteins as well as carbohydrates, pancreatic enzymes are required. Normal functioning pancreas secretes about 8 cups of pancreatic juice into the duodenum. Where the duodenum is present? In the small intestine, that you are supposed to remember. Daily 8 cups of juice, pancreatic juice will be released to the duodenum, to the small intestine. This fluid contains pancreatic enzymes to help with digestion and bicarbonate to neutralize stomach acid as it enters the small intestine. So now children, please understand, our stomach releases the gastric juices, which are will be having kind of acidic substances, HCl or related to that. Okay, so now when the food goes there, these acidic substances need to be neutralized. For that, it has to produce what? Some of the bicarbonates. So that is also done by the pancreas. Please remember this. And pancreatic enzymes, which are the enzymes we have mentioned here? Trypsin helps in the digestion of the protein. Please remember, protein is generally digested by the proteases. Okay, the enzymes which digest the protein, we generally call it as the proteases. Example we have given here, trypsin. Trypsin will be produced by the pancreas. That is nothing but the protease enzyme. It degrades the protein. And we have got the amylase, right? Amylase helps in the breakdown of the starch. In case of breakdown of the lipid, it uses the lipases. Okay, so that you can remember about. So trypsin and amylases you are supposed to remember. Once again, please remember children, mention the role of pancreatic enzyme. First, you are supposed to say pancreatic enzymes are required for the digestion of the fat, protein and carbohydrate. Okay, and every day it produces at least 8 cups of pancreatic juice in the duodenum. Then it also helps in the production of the bicarbonate to neutralize the stomach acid, because that stomach acid has to enter into the small intestine that may damage the small intestine. To protect that, it has to be neutralized. For that, it produces the bicarbonates. And apart from that, you have to give the example for the pancreatic enzyme. What are those? Trypsin, which breaks down the or digestion of the protein, it is required, and amylase required for the digestion of the starch. Okay, I hope you can understand this, children. So now let us move to the one more question here. What is the one more question? How is opening and closing of the stomata regulated? Right? Opening and closing of the stomata, how it will be regulated? There is a one more question here. Important question again. So let us look into this. Okay? Right, children. So now what is the answer here? Stomatal pores in the plant regulates the amount of water and solutes within them by opening and closing their guard cells using the osmotic pressure. What are the guard cells? So you can see like bean shaped cells like this. Okay, so these cells, whenever, okay, very good, Litin has answered, amount of what? Infinite has given the amount of water. Very good, very good. So now children, opening and closing of stomata because of the regulation of the guard cells, that you can remember. But regulation is how? Because regulated amount of water and solutes within it. Is that clear? So now the water enters through the guard cell from the subsidiary cell. So because surrounding these children, I already mentioned about this, there will be a presence of the subsidiary cells. What will be present here? So these are the subsidiary cells. Okay, and these are the guard cells. Guard cells, right? And this is the stomatal pore. Stomatal pore, right? I hope you can understand this. Now if you see here, the water enters from subsidiary cell to the guard cell, okay, and guard cell swells up. So this, it will get the original shape, children. It will get the original shape. The moment when it gets the original bean shape, so there will be a, see if you consider like this, there will be a formation of the pore. Through that, there will be a movement of the water takes place. Okay, so that you can remember, opening of the stomata takes place. Now, whenever the water moves out of the guard cell, so now whenever the water moves out of the guard cell, this will become shrunken. It shrinks. So now when it becomes the placid, earlier it was turgid, that means it was having lot of water inside that. Now it has left the water from that cell. Okay, So because of the leaving of that water, it will shrink. The moment when it shrinks, it loses its original shape, right? It loses what? Its original shape. The moment when it loses the original shape, children, it will become closed, right? I hope you can understand this. In the daytime, generally, it will be open up. In the night time, it will be closing. So that also you are supposed to remember about. I think this is clear to you all, right? Children, if you have understood this, you can send me a message. Let me move to the one more question here, right? Children, I hope you are all understanding. If yes, you can, like the session, right? Okay. So let me move to the one more question here. How does water reach up to the leaves? Correct. So this says about the how the transport of the water takes place in the plants, right? So how does the water reach to the leaves, right? Netra said understood. Harshavardhan gave me a thumbs up. Very good, very good. Happy to see, children, you are understanding the concepts, right? You are liking this session. Very good. Thank you so much. So let us look into the answer for this question. What is the question comes here? Water is taken up by the roots and reaches to the leaves through the xylem vessels, which are part of vascular bundle. Very simple, straightforward question, right? I think nobody will make the mistake here. I can see many are giving the right answer here. Very good. So now if you see the plant, okay, let me draw like this. So this is the root, right? You all know that this is the root. And here, let me draw one big leaf, right? Okay. So now, here what will be there, children? There will be a presence of the xylem now. So now if you see, this is the xylem. This is xylem, okay? So if you see the xylem, from the soil, whatever the moisture is present, whatever water is present, that will be absorbed by the root. So that water will enter inside. That water will enter inside. Hope you can understand this. From here, water, whatever the water droplets are there, water vapors are, that will be absorbed by the root. That will enter into the xylem, and that will move through the xylem to the different parts, and finally it reaches to the leaf. So that water helps in the photosynthesis. That water helps in the photosynthesis. That you can remember about. One more possible question, children, can be asked here. What is that one more possible question will be asked here? So now how does the water reach up to the leaf, they have asked. Now one more question they can ask. From the leaf, during the time of photosynthesis, whatever the glucose is produced, how it will move to the different parts of the plant. If that question comes, then what you are supposed to answer? Then you are supposed to answer as phloem, right? So I think you are very clear with what is the function of the xylem and what is the function of the phloem. So these two are very important for the transport of water and food, right? Very good. So now I think you have understood the answer for this. So let us move to the one more question here. So what is the one more question? I think most probably last question we may be discussing for the day. If time permits, let me take up more questions, or else let me explain this question, and after that let me end this session. If I can explain quickly, we'll go to the one more question as well. Okay. So now differentiate between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. This is one of the very important question you can expect in the examination. Now, what is the answer here? So here we have to understand what is the meaning of the aerobic and anaerobic respiration, children. If you can understand the meaning of the aerobic as well as anaerobic respiration, then you can answer all the question which is related to this. Now let me give the basic idea about this, and after that let us see what we are supposed to answer in the examination. Okay. So what is the basic idea I wanted to give to you all? So when we say about the aerobic and anaerobic respiration, can be asked for 5 marks also, right? So better to prepare for this. So now aerobic and anaerobic, or minimum 3 marks question it is. Maximum 5 marks also can be asked. Okay. Now when the oxygen is present in the system, the respiration takes place in the presence of the oxygen, then we call it as aerobic respiration. Is that clear? When the oxygen is not there, in the absence of oxygen, if it all takes place in the absence of oxygen, right, then it will be considered as anaerobic respiration. Is that clear? Now what you are supposed to remember, children, in the aerobic respiration, it produces large amount of energy, that is more number of ATPs are produced in the aerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration, less number of ATPs are produced. But in the anaerobic respiration, there are two types we can see. No, anaerobic respiration is also known as fermentation. Fermentation, okay, this you can remember about, I think. One more term for the anaerobic respiration is fermentation. Okay, right? So now, very good, I can see many are giving the Rideep has given the answer. Very good, Rideep. Right. So now, anaerobic respiration, you can remember, children, it is also known as fermentation. And here there are two types we can see under the anaerobic respiration. What are those two types? One we call it as alcohol fermentation. Okay, alcohol fermentation. So here alcohol and carbon dioxide will be produced. Alcohol and carbon dioxide will be produced. So this generally we can see with the yeast cells, children. Where we can see this yeast cell. Now one more we call it as lactic acid. Lactic acid. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, one more we call it as lactic acid fermentation. One more we call it as lactic acid fermentation. Right, so where the lactic acid fermentation we can see in the muscle cells. Okay, example we can see with the muscle cells. Right, so that way there we can see the lactic acid fermentation. So this is a basic idea about, aerobic and anaerobic. Now let us see proper points related to that. I hope these points you can remember about. I said oxygen, in the presence of the oxygen, aerobic. In the absence of the oxygen, we call it as anaerobic. This is the basic thing you are supposed to remember about aerobic and anaerobic respiration. I hope nobody will forget this. Okay, I think this is very clear to you all. Now what I said, anaerobic respiration is also known as what? It is also known as fermentation. What are the two different types we can see with the anaerobic respiration? That is alcohol fermentation and lactic acid fermentation. Tomorrow 1 mark question may come, where we can find the alcohol fermentation, right? So then you can answer. Very simple, best example, children, you can give, that is the yeast cell. For the production of the alcohol, generally we are using the yeast. Saccharomyces we say, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, that is the scientific name of that. So that is nothing but the yeast. So there we can see the alcohol fermentation. It takes place. Okay. What is the? No, alcohol means ethanol fermentation. So here ethanol will be produced. Ethanol fermentation we can say lithin. I hope you are clear now. Okay. Ethanol also type of alcohol only, right? Hope you can understand this. Okay, so here alcohol, when we speak, there will be a formation of the ethanol. Right? General term I have used alcohol, ethanol also alcohol only. Clearly thin? I hope you understood now. Right. So now lactic acid fermentation, where it takes place? In the muscle tissues. Whenever we do the rigorous exercise, when the oxygen supply decreases to our cell, then there will be a formation of the lactic acid. So that you can remember about. Okay, right. So now let us see what we are supposed to write in the examination. So we have got the fair idea about what is aerobic respiration as well as what is anaerobic respiration. I think there is no doubt in that, correct? So now my dear children, listen to me carefully and see this slide clearly, what you are supposed to write in the examination. So now when it comes to the examination, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, first let us see what is the meaning of that. Already we discussed. It occurs in the presence of oxygen. Very important point you are supposed to remember about. Okay, so when we speak about aerobic respiration, it takes place in the presence of the oxygen. Anaerobic respiration in the absence of the oxygen. Already we mentioned about that. I hope everybody is fixed in your mind, so nobody will make a mistake there. Second one, it occurs in the cytoplasm and in the mitochondria. So aerobic respiration, children, okay, there is a different pathways are there. So for example, we say about the glycolysis, okay, and after that we can see the Krebs cycle and oxidative phosphorylation. Okay, oxidative phosphorylation. So whereas glycolysis common for both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So generally it takes place in the cytoplasm. Okay, where it takes place? It takes place in the cytoplasm. When it comes to the Krebs cycle and oxidative phosphorylation, oxidative phosphorylation, so this takes place in mitochondria. Okay, in mitochondria. I hope you can remember. So that is the reason we say it occurs in cytoplasm and in the mitochondria. That is the reason we are saying it takes place in the cytoplasm and in the mitochondria. Whereas anaerobic respiration, children, anaerobic respiration, it occurs in the cytoplasm, because in the anaerobic respiration also we can see the glycolysis. Glycolysis will be producing the pyruvate. That pyruvate, either it can undergo alcohol fermentation or it can undergo lactic acid fermentation, but that sequence, everything takes place in the cytoplasm only. So this is one more difference you can remember about. Now children, when it comes to the aerobic respiration, final product of the aerobic respiration, that is nothing but the carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. What is the final product of, aerobic respiration? That's a carbon dioxide, water and energy, right? So complete breakdown you can see here. But when it comes to anaerobic respiration, children, there is a 2 carbon compound like alcohol will be ethyl alcohol will be produced, or there will be a 3 carbon compound like lactic acid will be produced. It is not a complete breakdown of the glucose. So this you are supposed to remember about. Is that clear? So here complete breakdown of the glucose occurs in the aerobic respiration. In the anaerobic respiration, children, we can see, okay, it will be incomplete breakdown of glucose occurs. How is lactic acid present in curd different from the one formed in the muscle? Children, in the curd, lactic acid is produced by the lactic acid bacteria. Okay, lab we say. So that will be producing there, right? There will be a, lactose will be present. By using the lactose, lactic acid will be produced. So there is a different mechanism which takes place in the muscle, so that you can remember about. Clear now? Right. So we have got the enzyme for that, lactose dehydrogenase. That is not required now. If I say it will be too much, so that is the reason I am not saying. But as you asked question, so please understand that there are bacteria doing that. Here we have got the enzyme related to that. Okay, right? Netra, I hope you have got the answer for that. Okay, so now complete breakdown, incomplete, that you can remember about. One, end products are carbon dioxide and water, as I mentioned here. End products are carbon dioxide and water. Here end products are carbon dioxide and ethyl alcohol in case of alcohol fermentation. In case of the lactic acid fermentation, lactic acid is the right final product. Okay, very good. Okay, Vaishnavi said understood. Very good. Right. So now last one, let us see the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one. Let us see. Amount of energy produced is more. Here more number of ATPs are produced, children. Okay, and here only 2 ATPs are produced. Where? In the anaerobic respiration. Here more than 30 will be produced. Here only 2 will be produced. So you can see the huge difference between them, right? So that also you can mention about. I think children, hope you understood whatever the questions we have discussed, right? So almost we have come to the end of this session now, right? So I have got few more questions in the, I wanted to discuss with you all, but that questions and answers I'll be sharing in the form of PDF with you all in our channel. So you can look into the channel, from there you can download that. We will be sharing both in the WhatsApp channel as well as in the YouTube also. It will be available for you all children, so that you can look into, right? I hope you have enjoyed this session. If you have enjoyed this session, leave a comment, and if you have liked this, you can share it with your classmates, those who are not able to attend this session, so that let them also get the benefit, right? So next I'll be coming up with few more important topics, questions related to this, right? Thank you so much. Thank you all children. Take care. Bye bye. Your Karthik Sir is signing out now. See you all in the next session. Stay tuned. And if you're not subscribed to our channel, I request you all to subscribe now. And if you're not like this, session, please like. So that is what we are expecting from you all. Bye children. Good night. Have a nice time. See you all.